President Donald Trump says that construction of new settlements by the government of Israel may not be helpful to achieve peace with Palestinians. The statement was issued just hours after the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pledged to establish the first new settlement in the occupied West Bank in over 2 decades. Now, it seems a change of position for Trump, who's seemed very supportive of the Netanyahu government and its decisions. The building of settlements on Palestinian land is considered illegal under international law. Well, Kevin McAleese is following the reaction to this from the United States.
It was a significant shift in the Trump administration today over the Israeli settlement expansion program. In a White House statement released on Thursday, it read, while we don't believe the existence of settlements is an impediment to peace, that it may not be helpful in achieving that either. The Trump administration also adding that they had not yet taken an official line on the issue of the settlement program. President Trump has made his support for Israel no secret. He, in fact, it was one of his earliest foreign policy commitments. So that's why this has come as a surprise. Donald Trump, when he was campaigning, was very critical of the Obama administration for not actually supporting the settlement expansion. Now we see Donald Trump falling more in line with his predecessor's take on the issue. He will be able to thrash these issues out face to face with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just a few weeks from now, when Netanyahu visits Washington. But there's a sense here that Netanyahu has been emboldened by the arrival of Donald Trump. Since Donald Trump's inauguration, in fact, Netanyahu has ordered 5,000 new construction builds to take place in the West Bank. Another issue that will be on the table for these two men when they meet, of course, Donald Trump's promise to move the US Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, a move that many critics say could perhaps provoke unrest and certainly be a destabilizing factor for any future peace prospect in the region.
Well, Greg Karlström is in Tel Aviv and joins us now live. Hello to you, Greg. So just how surprised are the Israeli government that this has now come out of the Trump administration?
Swing politicians will be surprised by this when they read about it this morning. Again, it was a very pro-Israel campaign that Trump ran. He accused President Obama of being very hostile to Israel. He said everything would change once he took office. And so I think the Israeli right expected it would get through 4 years without any criticism. And here we are 2 weeks in, and there's already been this critical statement. On the other hand, though, when you read the text of the statement, you heard from Kevin just now these points about the Trump administration not having a policy yet on settlements, and also saying that settlements are not an obstacle to peace between Israel and the Palestinians. This is a softening of the U.S. position. It's certainly a major break from President Obama, who criticized any new construction in the occupied territories. But it's also a softening even of going back to President Bush, President Clinton. It's a softening of their positions as well.
Absolutely. It's a very Trumpish statement to say one thing and then say something else at the same time. Now, do you think this is going to have any effect on the Netanyahu government? We've seen them, of course, ignore Security Council resolutions in the past.
I think yes and no. When it comes to settlement construction, probably not. And I think there's a very important phrase in this statement. It says that settlements shouldn't expand beyond their current borders, which gives the Prime Minister, I think, some wiggle room. He can say, as long as he's approving new construction within the currently recognized border of a settlement, that's okay. And in fact, the White House seems to bless that in this statement. So I think he's going to use that provision to keep building in Israeli settlements that have already been established. On the other hand, we've heard talk over the past few weeks of much more drastic measures, things like annexing a large chunk of the occupied West Bank. And I think Netanyahu doesn't want to do these things. He's worried about the diplomatic fallout from them. He's going to use this statement to restrain some of the far-right elements within his coalition. Politicians like Naftali Bennett, who are big supporters of annexation. He's going to use this statement to say, essentially, I'd love to do it, but President Trump doesn't want us to, so let's hold off on that.
Absolutely. And finally then, Greg, one thing that was missing from the statement was the term two-state solution, something that we haven't heard from the Trump administration very much. Of course, it's massively controversial with the Netanyahu government. Just how likely are we to see any kind of two-state solution going forward with Trump in the White House?
Well, everyone still pays lip service to it. The Israelis still say they're open to it. We've heard from President Trump that he wants to make what he calls the ultimate deal between Israel and the Palestinians. He's planning to tap his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, as his peace negotiator. And even the Palestinians say they're open to sitting down with the new president, with Jared Kushner, and talking about a peace process. But I think it's very hard to see it going forward, not only because President Trump took such a pro-Israel line, not only because his son-in-law is also deeply pro-Israel, but also because of the domestic dynamics on the ground here. You have a far-right government in power in Israel. You have the Palestinians internally divided between Fatah and Hamas in Gaza and the West Bank. And so I think they're going to probably make some kind of an effort at a peace process, but I wouldn't expect that to actually lead to any kind of substantive peace.
Okay, Greg, for now in Tel Aviv, thank you.